I'm Fran Ives and I'm a human factors specialist at the West Midlands Academic Health Science Network. I started working at the West Midlands AHSN in January 2020, so just a few weeks before the pandemic hit. Um, Coming from a human factors background, even when I joined the HSN as an innovation project manager, I still came with a very human factors focused way of thinking. So thinking about people and how they interact within the broader systems, which I think is quite a different way of thinking. So I've supported different people on various projects. So thinking specifically about the cardiac rehab work that I'm doing with Blair, looking at trying to understand why some of the seldom heard communities don't take up the offer of cardiac rehab, and trying to look at that from a systems wide perspective, understanding the human element in it, but also understanding in a bit more detail things like how does the environment that the rehab takes place in impact their decision to attend or not, the languages that are spoken, the equipment used, the timings of those sessions, etc. I love being able to inspire and chat about human factors to people within the AHSM, but also across the broader region as well. I get quite excited about human factors, so I can chatter away about it quite happily. But what I really love is when I do that and I can see other people thinking, oh, so that's how it can relate to what I'm doing. And when you see that they sometimes have a bit of a light bulb moment and they can relate it to what they could be doing in their job to make improvements for staff and patients. I think one of the things that's always challenging about human factors is the lack of understanding about the scientific discipline. And that's not just in relation to healthcare. I've worked in automotive and nuclear, and the same challenges still exist. It's a really small discipline, and so a lot of people don't fully understand it. So, inevitably, there is time spent trying to educate people. So that can be challenging, but also it can be really satisfying when you feel that they've really got and understood what you're doing. I think first of all, it's actually creating the service and the role. So when I first joined the West Midlands HSN, I came as an innovation project manager. And I did that for 2 years and learned a huge amount. And I think that's really stood me in good stead for the creation of the human factors role and then the development of it. So I think actually just starting the service is the biggest achievement for me to date. So I have two people that inspired me. I'm very into horse riding. So when I was a kid, I used to avidly watch all sorts of competitions, reading Horse and Pony magazine every month. And there were two people that always really inspired me, two brothers, John and Michael Whitaker, who similar age to my parents, grew up in a very similar place in Yorkshire, in Huddersfield. Grew up on a farm, learnt to ride all sorts of crazy Shetland ponies and not expensive horses, just really gritty kind of riding. And yet they've become, through their hard work as well as their talent, two of the most successful show jumpers in the world. And in their 60s, they are still very much at the top of their game and still competing. And so I have memories of being a child and, going to Horse of the Year show at Wembley when I was a little kid and seeing them there on their horses, just riding crazily but brilliantly. And I can still go to shows now and they are still there. And to think that they are still at the top of their game all these years later through their sheer hard work and determination is an absolute inspiration. So I spend my downtime riding horses, but also I'm quite a creative person. I love crafting, making things, anything. I'm the kind of person that looks at something and thinks, oh, can I make that rather than where can I buy it? So, particularly over lockdown, I realised that when I couldn't go out and felt quite frustrated about going out, I realised actually what I need in every part of my day to feel kind of content is some kind of creativity. So that might be baking a cake, making a meal, it could be playing my piano, or actually sort of making something, crafting something. So that's something that really relaxes me. I get a lot of enjoyment out of it.